for those of you who are in the Get It Done Lab, we're doing this 15-minute a day practicum every weekday at 9 Pacific, 12 Eastern. And it's just for 15 minutes. We hop on Zoom, we say hi, we work for 15 minutes, we say bye, that's it. And I was thinking, tell me how you guys think about this. I checked with the group. How would you guys feel if we opened that up as a little subscription, as something that you could just buy access to, that, just the daily practicum? Does that feel like something that like you'd be like, oh yeah, I'd pay $40 a month just to have somebody sit on my head for 15 minutes a day? Does that feel like it would be useful, helpful, interesting? I think we're going to try it maybe just for June and July and see how you all feel about it. Good. Catherine says she's okay. Thank you. Good. Glad to hear it. Veronica says, Sam, do you usually have a light on that you don't have on right now? You're very dark on one side. Well, let me see if I can adjust that with these a little bit. It's funny learning this new space and this new lighting, this new being in a new side of the country. Is that a little better? Okay. Let's see. Hi, Sam. Always good to see you. Hi, back at you. Kim says hi. Sue says hi. Julie says, hey, yeah, 478. I know. Edith says, not getting my PhD still feels like a failure sometimes. Yes. Julie says, the practicum is so effective. Oh, good. That 15-minute thing. Yeah. Sherry says, I had a brick and mortar theater bookstore about 15 years ago that tanked. Very costly in all ways. A big ouchie. Good. Oh, I love how honest you guys are. Claire says, I submitted a big story to NUEA storytelling and it was rejected. It pissed me off because I knew it was a good story, but it got me to start producing my own storytelling show called Moments of Clarity. I eventually was able to tell that story at NUEA. Oh, very good. Good for you. Oh, June says, like, beautiful. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Bridget says, a few years ago, I didn't realize my son needed more support and tools to help him. I'm sorry, you guys, I'm having such trouble with my glasses. Being and doing and comparing tasks, completing tasks. Yeah. Giving up on travel nursing. Okay, good. Good, you guys, good. I want you to, I really mean this to be more of a discussion almost than a teaching. I was thinking a lot about failure. I was thinking a lot about how much we learn from it. I think, about, and I used to have my friend David Nagel, who was my mentor for some time, and then I taught with him on his faculty. He's a great guy, great teacher. He used to say, sometimes he would say things that confused me, and I never asked him what he meant because I thought, no, Sam, part of this process is you like figuring out what he means. And so one of the things that he would say is disappointment. Like if you're disappointed, it means you never really thought it was going to happen to begin with. And I was like, what? Disappointment means you never thought it was going to happen to begin with. Like, how could that be? And I was remembering, it was probably one of the hardest parts about being an actor full-time is not the poverty, not the grind, not the work, not the constant auditions, not any of that. It was always wanting it so much. It was this prison of desire of how much I wanted to work, how much I wanted each gig, how much I wanted praise, how much I wanted approval, how much I wanted to work. Like I just wanted to work. I knew I was good. I just wanted to work. And how crushing it was to me every time it didn't happen, which was most of the time. And then years later, and then often a disproportionate amount of time, I would run into the director or the casting director or whatever at some later point in time. And they'd be like, gosh, I'm so sorry we didn't use you for that project. I'm so sorry we had to cast that other person in that other thing. I'm so sorry we didn't use you for XYZ. I'm like, really? I am too. That's both of us that are sorry you didn't get to use me. So then it was like, oh my God. So I felt like a failure for something that they also felt like didn't work out properly. Like that's not good. But And I remember I was thinking about this too. I was thinking about this morning. There was a young person I met years ago, and she was interested in acting, and she had just auditioned for her big school musical, and she really wanted the lead, and she was like maybe 12 or 13 at the time, and she got introduced to me, and she was like, "Oh, you're a real actor," and I'm like, "Yeah, I am." And she asked me a couple of questions about acting and stuff. It was really fun to talk to a young person about techniques and strategies for acting. And then she goes, "I have one more question for you." And I said, "Yeah, sure, of course." And she looks up at me with these big eyes. She goes, "How do you not want it so much?" And I was like, oh, my heart. I said, "I don't know. I don't know how you not want it so much." And you're right. That's kind of the key, is that, you just can't suffer like that over every fucking audition. It's too much. And what I said to her in the moment was, well, if you care, you care, and caring a lot and having a lot of feelings is part of being an actor. So, you just learn to manage your feelings. I said, it can sometimes help to remember what you really want, which is what you really want is for a great show. What you really want is for everyone to have a great experience. And whether that's you on stage or you backstage or you in the box office or you in the audience, like, keeping in mind this sort of idea of the greater good can be a little helpful. And she looked at me like, "Really?" And I'm like, "I know that's lame, but it's true." And then I thought about a poster. My father was at one time one of the world's best amateur golfers, and he had a piece of art in his house that had a big heart on it, and it said, "Golf is like a love affair. If you don't care, it's no fun, and if you do care, it'll break your heart." Which I think is true of anything that's worth loving, I suppose. So I think the truth underneath here is that we have to get past the idea that a broken heart is bad, or that feeling like a failure is bad, or that being disappointed is bad. I do notice, to circle back to what David was saying about if you get disappointed, it means you didn't really think it was going to happen to begin with. I do notice now more when things don't work out the way that I had hoped they would. I don't feel so much disappointed. I do feel curious. I do feel like, I wonder what happened there. I wonder where the disconnect was between what I thought would happen or what I projected would happen and what actually happened. And like, where was I mistaken in my assumptions, or what information am I missing? And that place of curiosity and inquiry is much more useful. And it's true. I find I skip kind of right past the disappointment part. I don't feel disappointed. I feel like, well, we all did the best we could, and it didn't turn out the way we thought, but that didn't mean it went badly. It just didn't go the way we thought. So let me catch up with the chat here, because I'm sure you guys have said some things. Now I can't even find my cursor. Where are you? There you are, little friend. Okay. Sorry, let me get this stuff this way a little bit. Okay, here we are. Sue says, I applied for an MA in creative writing. They didn't accept me for the program I chose, only for the one I was already good at. I was disappointed. And then I wrote and published 3 books. So there you go. Okay, maybe I was pissed. Yes, I should certainly hope so. I'm going to try a different pair of glasses and see if that works. That is a little better. Okay. John says, my credit cards are maxed out. I can feel my money mindset doing something about that practically right now. Yeah. Prison of desire, says Claire. Yeah. June says, a couple of really bad relationships, so attractive, so toxic, and too time consuming. Yes. Veronica says, that's what Charles Schultz said about comics. They'll break your heart because the only reason to do it is if you love it. Yes. If you don't care, it's no fun. And if you do care, it breaks your heart. Yeah, exactly. Whoa. Huge fan of Curious. Yep, exactly. Julie says, being disappointed means you never really thought it would happen in the first place. Did I get that right? What I'm struggling with lately feels like a failure department is that I've forgotten other people don't change just because we wish they could and would. I'm resonating with all of this. Yeah. Amy says, it occurs to me that maybe I haven't failed enough because I haven't tried or dared enough. Well, that's certainly true. If you are not failing on a fairly regular basis, it means you are not trying anything new. And it is certainly, when I give keynotes and talks, especially to leadership, people in leadership roles, I'm like, if you are a leader, and all of you are, by the way, if you are a leader, you would be well served by putting yourself in a very uncomfortable position at least once a week. So doing something basically that you're pretty terrible at, doing something that humbles you, doing something that makes you feel like a fool, and whether that's taking an improv class or pottery or running, or for me, it was weightlifting. Everyone in the gym was 10, 20 years younger than me, except for the one woman who was 20 years older than me and like crazy fit. Like, wow, that's bizarre. Fantastic. That's fantastic. And really struggling with how hard even some of the basics were, and my lack of understanding of like, I don't get what you're saying. And remembering, like, this is how your people often feel. They often feel like they're trying to succeed with not enough instruction and not enough experience. They're afraid to show up. They don't want to look foolish. They're trying to manage how foolish they're feeling. So I think it's good. And I will also say, I really want to dissect this failure thing, because I'm hearing some of this that like, sometimes lack of completion can feel like failure, right? I didn't finish my PhD. I didn't get into that program. I didn't finish that script. I didn't finish writing that book. But completion is often overrated. Completion is often overrated. And especially when it comes to, what they call sunk costs, right? Just because you've put in all this time and money and energy does not mean that you should continue putting in time and money and energy if you are no longer that interested in the outcome, right? I was very early on in my business. I had a woman who was a client who was almost done with her PhD. She'd worked very hard, but one of the things that sometimes happens when people seek to get a PhD is the process had kind of beaten the joy out of the work for her. And she wasn't really interested in it. And it was costing her. It was costing her mental health. It was costing her energy. She had other things she wanted to do. And I said, so the sunk costs question is, knowing what you know now, would you enroll in this program again? Knowing what you know now, would you enroll in this program again? For some of you, that may look like, knowing what you know now, would you marry this person again? Knowing what you know now, would you hire this person again? Knowing what you know now, would you enroll in this course again? And if the answer is no, then you were right to stop. Cut bait. You're not going to get that money back. You're not going to get the time back. You got what you got out of it. End of story. Move on. And just because everybody else goes like, oh, but you were so close to finishing. Well, it's not their fucking life, is it? Right? Good. Yeah. Veronica says, ooh, that reminds me of when Elaine sought up 100 rejections. Right. Exactly. Can you get rejected 100 times? Jennifer says, I'm listening always. Good. John says, I love being uncomfortable because I now know what that can mean. I'm a hungry learner. Same goes for mistakes. Exactly. There's also the failures that just aren't failures. I mean, there are a number of things in my life that I guess somebody from the outside could say, oh, that was a failure, or she failed at that. But I wouldn't say that. I often say, just because a marriage ends doesn't mean it failed. Just because a marriage ends doesn't mean it failed. I have 2 marriages that have ended, and I would not call either of them failures. I would call them tremendous successes. And my relationship with both of those men now is a tremendous success. I love them. I loved them then. I love them now. We all did the best we could. And at some point, the marriage was done. And so just because a marriage ends doesn't mean it failed. And I also know some couples who are still together, and I would not necessarily call their marriage a success. Although, of all the things that are none of my business, what happens between 2 people when they're alone together is a mystery to all of us, right? Everybody else's marriage is like a wow, how does that work? Like, we'll never understand anybody else's marriage. But yeah, I absolutely do not define either of my divorces as a failure. In fact, I would consider them quite trying. They were absolutely graduate school and being a person, right? And even, I spent almost my whole adult life trying to get pregnant and have a baby. And we did not. I never even got pregnant. And some people might call that a failure. It is certainly a grief and a sorrow in my life, and I expect it always will be. But I don't think of it as a failure. I guess maybe I'm measuring on effort. Like, look, if everybody did the best they know how to do, and that's the result you got, then that's not a failure. That's just the result you got, right? There's also, I'm also thinking about my dad in the last months of his life said a lot of weird shit. I don't know quite what was going on, but at one point he was like, I just wish you'd graduated from Northwestern University. I feel like you not getting your degree really cost you, Samantha. And I'm like, really? Like, I haven't thought about that in forever. Like, and I never think about the fact that I didn't graduate. I'm like, no, I left because I hated it. And for what I wanted to do as an actor, there was nothing that a theater degree was going to give me that I didn't already have. And Northwestern was doing a pretty good job of beating the joy out of acting out of me. So I was like, oh, that's so weird that you think that's a failure. And it's genuinely never crossed my mind as a failure. Nor do I have any sense that my life would have gone any better if I had a degree. I don't think so. Yeah. Jude says it's hard to let go, dogged determination. Absolutely. And those of us who are, loyal to the point of self-neglect, feel like, well, once I've said yes, like I can't quit now, right? And again, quitting does not equal failure. Making a new choice does not equal failure. John says, interesting perspective. My 38-year-old marriage is ending, and you've given me a positive look, not a failure. Look at the successes. Yes, exactly. Julie says, I'm taking so much comfort in all this. Megan says, yeah, it's not their fucking life. I love it. Yeah, it's true. It's not their fucking life. And sorry, I've got an eyelash situation here. And even if, I think the key thing, and this is the thing I always try to emphasize in Get It Done and in the books and the workshops and in the lab, is that the object of the game is not so much like, oh, you're going to, set your eye on this project and you're going to show up every day and you're going to get it done, or I'm going to know the reason why. It's more like, I am so interested in the person you become as you pursue this project. And that's how we measure success, right? Is by process. And to remember that there are a lot of things in our life that are really just about process. Like journaling, the object of the game of journaling is to journal. The object of the game is not to have a completed journal, right? It's just about the process of journaling. The object of taking a walk is not the result of having taken a walk. It is the process of taking a walk. Are you enjoying the walk, right? And are you becoming the person you want to become as you do these things? In improvisation, I just went to an improv show that some friends of mine did in New York on Monday, which was really fun. I got to see a lot of people I hadn't seen in a long time. It's only a 2-person show. So there's only 2 of them. They're on stage the entire time. And it's went about 45, 55 minutes, something like that. And they did a beautiful job. They're world-class improvisers. It was a great show. But one of the things you learn as an improviser is that when something happens, when a mistake happens or a weirdness happens or a glitch happens, like that's your doorway. You want to actually go through that. So somebody sort of half falls off the chair, and that's the direction the show goes, right? We don't ignore the fact that this little slip happened. We make it about that slip. We don't ignore the fact that I thought we were going back to that one scene and you thought we were going back to the other scene, and now we have 2 characters from 2 different scenes. now we're in a different reality in which these characters meet. Like, you just keep adjusting and incorporating the mistakes into the thing, and it makes it so hilarious because the audience has been there for it. That's what makes improv so exciting, is that you're there for it, and you're, oh, he fell off the chair, oh, but now they made it about falling off the chair. Woo! So there's literally no such thing as failure. Your failures are your opportunities. They're your doorways. They're the little sparkly breadcrumbs that lead you to the end. They're the synchronicities and happenstances, right? The things that are unexpected. That's what's so joyful. So yeah, I want you to take a, write down for yourself if you have not yet. What are we doing on time here? Okay, good. So this is back in my struggling single mom days. I learned there's no such thing as failure, only experience to be learned from it. Life-changing. That's exactly right. Plot twist, right? The object of, a good, healthy relationship with food is not that every single meal is perfect. It's that you have an ongoingly good, healthy relationship with food, right? That you're not punishing yourself every meal. So go ahead and grab a pen. Let's do a little 90-second process here. We're just about the end of the half hour, but why not? Because I'm sure this might have brought some feelings up for you, and I feel like it's, I should help you process them. So grab a pen, grab a piece of paper. We're not making art. Nobody ever has to see this. This is just a little doodle that you are going to do in 90 seconds. And we're actually going to do 2 of them, but the first one, I just want you to do like how it feels when you think about that thing that you think of as a failure. How does it feel when you think of it as a failure, right? So draw a picture of that failure, the feeling of it, the shape, the size, the colors, the little stick figures are fine. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Just whatever bubbles up when I say, draw a picture of you as this failure. What is that? It's like a little 1-frame comic. So if I think about something that I think of as a desire, okay. Got about 45 seconds to go. Just doodle the thing that feels like a failure to you. How does the failure feel? What is the color and shape of this thing that you feel like could be a failure? Okay, 30 seconds if you want to add some embellishment. Again, it doesn't have to make sense to anybody but you. Good. There we go. So just to show you, I was thinking about that. How do I not want it so much? And how much I wanted my marriages to work, and how much I wanted the baby thing to work, and how much I wanted my acting career to work. And so it just felt like me being sort of crushed or pierced by love. And there's me laying down and the big heart sort of going right at me. Does anybody want to share what they made or what they noticed about what they made? Clark says, pizza. I'm in. A thumbs down, rotating upwards to a thumbs up. Oh, cool. Cool. Well, speaking of rotating upwards, let's go ahead and do it again. And if you were able to reframe this, pardon me. If you're able to reframe this failure or this series of failures as a success, or at least as just a step on the journey, as something that has, is molding you into the person that you want to be, Yeah, Amy says squashed flat by a big rock and gum stuck to the bottom of a shoe. Oof, oof. And just says black BG hunched over a rock. Edith says on a bridge across a chasm, the way forward is broken and no way forward. Ooh. Ooh. Can you feel the power of these? Right? So helpful to have it on paper. So helpful to literally get another perspective on it. Be like, oh, no wonder that hurts. Yeah, no wonder I feel stuck to it like gum on a shoe. On the other hand, gum on a shoe isn't that hard to get rid of. Interesting. Flattened by a steamroller. Flat. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so now let's do another 90 seconds. And what would success look like? Or how do you want to transform this feeling of failure into success? Like, what would we do? How do we want that to feel? Right? So we're just writing another version of the same drawing or a different one. So if that's how we feel that failure is, how do we feel about success? Or how would we like success to feel? Or how could we turn one into the other? So we're just, again, you know, I'm a big fan of stick figures. Add some little embellishments or captions. Great. How are we doing? 30 seconds left. Good. About 10 more seconds. Shelley says a stick figure hanging its head. And I started over twice before setting on the stick figure. I didn't want to do a bad drawing. Right. So again, how much are we preventing? How much are we letting the fear of failure prevent you from even doing a doodle? Shelley, babe, like no one's going to see it. No one cares. Right. So here's my new one. Right. So if my old one was me being pinned by love, this is me, that everything is love. It's all love. Right. And I think that's a wonderful way to look at failure. You know, that old life coach saying, like, if this were happening for you and not to you, what would that mean? If this were happening for you, if the universe were conspiring to your greater good, what might the lesson be here, right? Veronica says, I drew a body with a hole in it, and then I wrote this poem, a hole at the seat of creation, hollowness, hollow bones, like birds have, meaning I might be capable of flight. That's beautiful, Veronica. I love that. Yes. We might be capable of flight. John says, clouds, thunder, lightning, pouring rain. I can see clearly now, bright sunny day. Jean says, oh my God, I felt like such a loser for just drawing a stick figure. I even wrote next to it that I need to work on my drawing skills, but everyone did stick figures. Well, everyone meaning Sam. Well, exactly. Edith says, on a hilltop, the world and sky are open to me. Jean says, so now I feel good. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Jennifer says, covering my passion up to my, so I'm squished, unable to celebrate my heart. Oof. Get to versus have to. Yep. And just as light as air, wings, sunshine, inches off the ground. Oh my goodness, you guys, beautiful. Jennifer, conspiring to the greater good. Yes, pronoia, it's called. There's a astrologer named Rob Bresney, Brenzy, who has a column called Real Astrology, and he wrote a book called Pronoia, which is the opposite of paranoia, right? Paranoia is everybody's out to get you. Pronoia is everybody's out to support you. It's cute. Clark says, me under the sun with a bunch of flying buttresses or roots bolstering me. Yep. Shelley says, my success stick figure is smiling with arms outstretched and wearing a cape. Julie says, shrug, smile, skip on down the road. Yep, exactly. Good, you guys. Great inquiry. Great opportunity. Thank you for doing this with me. We're a little over our time, so I want to make sure I let you go. Please invite your friends to this. We're doing a big push to sort of try and grow the email list. If you're not on our email list, you definitely want to go to therealsambennett.com, get on the email list, get whatever the freebie is there. If you have friends that you think might benefit, I've got a new book coming out next spring, so I really want to gather as big of a tribe as I can so that this book can really make a difference for people. And if it doesn't, then I will have failed. No. Okay, let's see. June is a puppy smiling and sleeping on a velvet cushion. Oh, that's the best. Sue says, let's start a pronoia epidemic. Exactly. Good. Well, lifting yourself into that space of success, of your own personal definition of success. Shrugging, skipping on down the road, capable of flight, saying yes and no to the things in your life that are right for you and not right for you. And understanding that other definition of disappointment, which is that disappointment is just taking score too soon. Disappointment is just taking score too soon. So let's do one more breath, shall we? Let's inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for doing this with me. Have a great day.